As you all know, I'm Chef Ron Costa. Today we're going to be demoing tomato and Espagnole sauce. Very classic mother sauces. When we talk about mother sauces, I want you all to think of them as kind of like base sauces that we're going to turn into something else. Okay, if you take a look at your little recipes there for Espagnole and tomato, we have something very similar on them, and that is the caramelization of mirepoix. The caramelization of mirepoix. Now mirepoix, as we know, is onions, carrots, and celery. Onions in a 50, carrot and celery in a 25. Okay, we're going to use a saute technique. So we know we're going to be using a hot pan with a small amount of fat. I want you guys to note what pan we're using to make this small amount of tomato and Espagnole. We're going to be using, this is called a sautoir. S-A-U-T-O-I-R, sautoir. This is a little bit thicker than a normal saute pan too. And when you're going to be caramelizing, you kind of want that nice heavy pan. So what's our first step in saute? We're going to go ahead and get these burners on, and we're going to preheat these pans. But we're going to get this pan nice and hot, nice and hot. Not molten lava. If you start smelling metal, that's a little too far. But again, the pan's nice and hot. Note that the recipes that you're following, the fat, the flour, the tomato product, those are by weight. By weight. How much flour does the recipe call for? 2 ounces. Don't get confused and say, oh, that must be a quarter cup. No, because look what 2 ounces looks like. This is 2 ounces by weight. This little paper cup here is a 4-ounce volume measure. It's almost full. So can you see where if you accidentally used a volume measure instead of weight, you wouldn't have enough thickener inside of there. So go by weight. Weight's much more accurate. All right, so let's start the caramelizing process. Why I have 2 pans going on here is I'm going to try and save us some demo time. The pan on our left will be the Espagnole. The pan on our right will be the tomato. We're going to do the caramelization process at the same time for both sauces. Once that's caramelized, I'll put the tomato pan away, just focus on Espagnole. When that one's done, we'll start off with the tomato at the caramelizing state. All right, I got my pans nice and hot. I'm going to add my fat. Again, the one on our left is the Espagnole. Get our fat inside of there. It's congealed a tiny bit. What kind of fat are we using? This is a little clarified butter. Let's get our fat inside the tomato. Our fire is on kind of a medium. Okay, let's toss our mirepoix in for our Espagnole. There's that nice sizzle when we put that in. We have a nice little sizzle. Nice sizzle again. Nice onions. We're going to move them around, get everything nicely coated in the fat. And then don't play with them so much. Don't play with them. You don't have to constantly stand there and stir it. Let it all get nice and hot. What we're going to start to see right now is as the mirepoix heats up, okay, it's cooking in fat. Does fat evaporate? No. It either gets absorbed or burns away. The steam that you're going to start to see coming off of this mirepoix as it's cooking is water from the mirepoix itself. The onion, the carrot, the celery, That needs to happen before caramelization can happen. So you'll start to see that here in just a few minutes. What'll be a lot of fun is after enough moisture is gone, you'll see the onions go translucent. Then you see the browning effect happen, and then no more steam comes off. Enough of that is gone, and then you'll see just the browning effect. So we'll give this a little stir every now and then. We're not going to be obsessed with it. Watch your temperature. I'm not on really high heat. I'm looking inside the pan, seeing this going along nicely. Cooking those carbohydrates, making it sweeter. The mirepoix is going to get nice and brown, and I'll show that to you. What'll be fun is after we're done cooking the sauces, the mirepoix will be kind of white again. Where did all that brown go? Where did all that caramelization go? In the liquid. In the liquid. What is that going to do? Aid in color and flavor. Bring up the sweetness. Our mirepoix, she's a looking nice. I'll kind of hold this one up for you here. Can you see I'm starting to get a nice little golden color? Not black, not black. If I blacken this, what flavor profile would that be? Bitter, bitter, yucky. Just get some nice color going on. Can you guys smell that? Can you smell that? What is it? Is that nice aromatic? Some chefs might take it a little darker. I'm not going to. Okay, look at the nice little caramelization we have there. Doesn't it just look more appetizing than it did when it was naked? Yeah, the flavor, that nice sweetness. Can you all smell it? Can you all smell it? Beautiful. Okay, this is the tomato one. I'm going to set this one aside for right now, and then when we start the tomato, we'll start off with the caramelization. Okay. Now let's take a piccola at the Espagnole one. I think this is looking nice also. Again, nice color, good caramelization, not black and burnt. What's our next step when making the Espagnole? The flour, right? We need to make a roux. We're going to make roux is basically just what? Fat and flour, right? Fat and flour. Do we have fat in our pan? We have fat in mirepoix. Can we have the mirepoix in there and just throw the fat in and make kind of a roux mirepoix stuff? Sure, sure. You don't always just have to make in a separate little container fat, flour, and then add that. We've got it going all on the same time here. We've caramelized our mirepoix. I see the fat rolling around there in the pan. I'm going to add the flour to it and make a little roux right along with it. You don't have to temper it in. Fat and flour blend together really, really easily. They just blend right in. Now I'm going to show you this. She no looks so nice. You've got this goo. I've got roux stuck on my mirepoix, and it doesn't look very appetizing. It's kind of a light color. We need to kind of cook this roux up a little bit, kind of to a light brown state. So, jot this on your paper. When you're going to cook roux, when cooking roux, you're on low heat for cooking roux. So I'm on a pretty low heat now, and I'm going to cook that roux to kind of like a light brown. All right, I think this looks nice. It's gone into kind of a tan color. Okay, I'm going to increase my heat a little bit, and I'm going to add my tomato product. And I want to kind of fry that up a little bit in here. Move it around, cook it. So we're just kind of moving this around. Get some color. How many layers of caramelization have we got going on so far? We caramelized the mirepoix, cook the roux, caramelize that. Now we're putting in the tomato, caramelizing that. Nice. Then we're going to be adding beef stock. The bones were caramelized, the tomato product was caramelized, the mirepoix in it was caramelized. We've got 6 layers of caramelization in this sauce. What color do you think it's going to be? She's going to be a brown and nice and rich. Okay. This looks pretty darn nice. Kind of a toasty going on there. Now it kind of smells like a roasted toasted tomatoes. Again, I know it shouldn't look a pretty. Just wait till we throw the wine in. Okay, now we have our wine. We're kind of going to deglaze with this. Oh, there's that nice sizzle sound. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Beautiful. We deglazed. And now we've got plop. Smells heavenly though. Just wait. I know this looks terrible. When you first make this, you're going to get to this point and go, I made a mistake. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. All right, now we're back on the burner, and now comes a really, really, really crucial thing. And that is the incorporation of the liquid. When roux is your thickener, and roux is our thickener here, you introduce liquid into roux. We're not going to take the roux, throw it in the liquid, and chase it around with a whisk, trying to get the balls of flour and everything to go into the liquid. What we're going to do is we have our flour mixture, everything inside of here, and we're going to temper in 1/3 at a time our liquid while whisking lightly and then bring it to a boil each time. Does that make sense? We won't have any balls. We won't have to worry about chasing those around. Temper it in. I put 1/3 in, and now I'm using the whisk and lightly blending it in. Because what I have right now going on is the roux mixture all wants to stick all over this mirepoix. That's all it wants to do. I've got to coax it off, get it off of there, swirl it around. I need to get all that roux into the liquid. It's going to get thicker and thicker. You know, that little starch molecule, the starch inside the flour is not going to pop up and open until you're almost nearly boiling. So get that to a boil, whisking, whisking, whisking. I'm going to show you here how creamy this looks and that we don't have balls of roux floating around. Look at that. It's creamy. It's way too thick because we have a lot more liquid to get in, but it's very creamy. You see the mirepoix, but the mirepoix is naked. There's no flour all over it. It's just a nice creamy substance now. Now that that's boiling, I'll add my second third. And again, I'm just lightly, I am not digging with the whisk in the pot. I'm just lightly whisking. If you find that your sauces are turning gray on you, you're probably whisking it way too much. I see people blending roux, you know, fat and flour, whisking the heck out of it. Use a wooden spoon. Use a wooden spoon. Sometimes all of a sudden your roux looks gray. And that kind of scares me a little bit because, again, we think of aluminum then. Yes, that gets a little scary. So I'm just whisking lightly. My heat's up pretty high right now. It's pretty high. I want to bring this to a boil. Looking nice. We're not going to have any of those little flour balls. Look at my mirepoix. It's naked. It's naked. Don't have to even think of the flour in there. Almost to a boil. Take the time to do it right. Don't be in a hurry. There's always times we're cramped for time and we have to force, but have good mise en place then. Plan ahead. Do it right. I usually tell students, if you're just going to rush it just to get it done, go make a sandwich. Go make a sandwich. It's not going to be worthy. Okay, we're up to a boil again. Now I'm going to add and temper in my final third. Blend that in. And I can tell I'm going to go ahead and switch to a wooden spoon. Everything is blended in nicely. I'm going to go back to a wooden spoon, but I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to keep it moving. If you stopped and it's not at that simmer boil, because just the action of the simmer and boil will keep it moving around. But if it's not there, the flour kind of wants to tend to go to the bottom and stick and get really hot, and you have that burnt, scorchy bottom. Let's talk about skimming of scum. Are there impurities going on inside of this sauce? Were there maybe some impurities in the stock, the mirepoix, and the tomato product? Yeah. As this cooks and simmers, a lot of the impurities will come to the top, kind of in the form of kind of like a little foam. And what we like to do is we like to skim those off, But be careful when you're making small amounts. I'll take that off right at the end. All right, now I have a rolling hard boil going on. I'm going to drop it down to a simmer, and I'm going to get each one of you to stand up here in a second and look at it, but I'm moving it to a back burner. You guys know I'm psychotic. And things on the back burners where I'm going to let that simmer. You know what it tells me? It tells me, leave it alone. It's on the back burner simmer. You've heard the term. It's on the back burner. Put it back. It just needs to reduce now. Things on front burners, production, the back, it's not. We're going to take our little sachet. Here's your little sachet. Notice it's not a gigantic ball of fabric. It's a nice small petite. It's going to take a good 30 minutes, at least, minimum, to get rid of the floury taste. Minimum. Did anyone just misinterpret? Did anyone just say the sauce is done in 30 minutes? No. Minimum of 30 minutes, or what it takes to get the consistency to nappe on the back of a spoon. What I mean by that is we're going to dip this nice spoon into the sauce. We want it to coat, slightly run, and we're going to take our finger and draw a line, and it will ridge. Where we cleaned it, where the sauce is still laying, will ridge. That's a nappe. Remember, yes, we were talking about nappe and the many different definitions there. So, all right, we're looking good. Every now and then, we're going to give this little Espagnole a stir. We're going to keep it simmering nicely, and we know we got about 30 minutes on it. Okay, did anyone see pixie dust, voodoo magic, magic wands, anything like that in the production of an Espagnole? Pretty basic, pretty basic. What are some highlights? Really pay attention to caramelization. Preheat the pan, get the fat, add the mirepoix, hear the sizzle, golden brown, not black, proper browning of the flour, that whole roux thing, caramelizing the tomato product, deglazing with the wine, and the psychotic importance of tempering 1/3 of the liquid with a whisk. Bring to a boil, 1 more third. Bring to a boil, 1 more third. Bring to a boil. Down to a simmer, sachet, minimum of 30 minutes till it nappes. The tomato sauce, thank goodness we already caramelized that mirepoix, huh? Again, we're using a sautoir. We're using a sautoir, the straight-sided saute when making this tomato sauce. We're not going to use a little pot. We've got our ingredients here. What are your ingredients? You've got tomato product in 3 types, diced, puree, and paste. You've got garlic. You've got some white stock. You've got a sachet. What's your thickening agent? And you've got mirepoix. What's your thickening agent in a tomato sauce? Tomato paste, puree, diced, mirepoix, fiber, right? Cellulose and pectin, the fiber in all this vegetable matter, that's going to be your thickener. There's no roux, no slurries, no nothing. So what we're going to, because your critical thinking kind of going off there, saying, wow, tempering won't be an issue on this mother sauce, right? Right, it's not. The tomato sauce is kind of one of those easy ones. It's kind of the dumpa. We don't have to worry about tempering. So we've got our mirepoix, and again, oh look, magic golden brown, nice and sweet. Now let's talk serious. What's our next step? We have to start putting in tomato product. But you know what I like to do? While we have the fat in the bottom there, just kind of sizzling away, drop your garlic in. Put a little bit of color on the garlic. Don't burn it. Remember, burnt garlic is bitter. Burnt garlic's nasty. But lightly toasted garlic, woohoo, it's heaven. Just going to get a tiny bit of color. And you're going to be able to take, okay, just a tiny bit of color. Then we'll start adding our tomato product, shall we? We're going to go ahead and add our puree. Move that around, fry that up just a little bit. Again, bring that tomato product to life. Ah, doesn't that smell good? Gonna take our paste, pop our paste in there. Again, when you put them in these little paper cups and just squeeze them out, it's so nice. Okay, so we're going to move this around, fry that up a little bit. Go ahead and add the diced. I don't need to temper. I have vegetable matter as my thickening agent. And I'm going to add my white stock. So I got this all in there, and now I'm going to, just like with the other sauce, BTAB, bring it to a boil. Pop it in. We're going to bring this to a little simmer. So this is coming up to a simmer. How will we know this sauce is done? What do we have to do to it? We have to food mill it. So how do we know it's done? How will we know it's ready to food mill? When the vegetables are soft. When these vegetables are soft, that's when it's done. All right, I've got a nice little simmer going on here. I'm going to take it to the back burner. I'm not going to think about it. Every now and then, I'm going to give these a stir. Just kind of move them around. We've got time. They're looking nice. Okay, tomato sauce. Pixie dust, magic wands, voodoo. Now, pretty basic. We all think that we could definitely accomplish those two sauces over and over and over again, more than just the one time. So our Espagnole and our tomato sauce have been simmering. The Espagnole's had a minimum of 30 minutes. So again, we know that that flour is going to be fairly cooked out. Our next indication that it's done is that it nappes the back of a spoon. And we'll get here. We have a nice glistening effect, and we'll draw a little line, and it definitely has a nice ridge going on. It's coating, it's ridging. This Espagnole is done. We'll give it a little taste, and then we'll strain. Very nice. Has that little flour texture off. When we go to strain an Espagnole, we're going to go through a chinois, not a china cap. I'm not going to worry about the sachet that's in there because it won't go through the chinois. Be sure and use a spoon, not anything metal, and just kind of lift the mirepoix. You don't want to push the mirepoix through the chinois. That would greatly change our texture there. I'm just lifting, lifting. Not going to push the mirepoix through. It's got a nice consistency there. It's kind of like motor oil. This Espagnole would turn into a nice demi-glace. To make that demi-glace, we would take equal parts by volume of this nice Espagnole and a rich veal stock, and we would reduce that down by half. Okay, I think I got out as much as I am out of this mirepoix. And then what we're left with is this beautiful, beautiful brown, really, really coating, great flavor, got a nice shine to it. And this is our classic Espagnole. Our tomato sauce, it's been simmering for quite a while now. Our determination that it's done, because we don't have to worry about roux, is the mirepoix nice and soft. And the one you really got to watch for is the carrot. I'm going to take a piece of carrot and smash it up against the side of the pan. It smashes very easily, so I know this is going to puree nicely. I'm going to get my food mill. When you put the food mill together, it is very, very important that you make sure the blade is up, going up inside the device. If it's going down, it's never going to mill. So we have our food mill together, and I'm always going to make sure that when I'm food milling, you're going to go into a vessel that has a flat bottom. Don't puree this going into a bowl, otherwise it would just wobble all over the place. So I'm going to take my tomato sauce with all of its mirepoix, and please remove the sachet. The sachet needs to come out before this stage. And then we're going to put the sauce inside of here. Make sure you get all that fiber in there, all the mirepoix, because that is our thickening agent in a tomato sauce, is all that fiber. The fiber from the mirepoix, the tomato, and we're going to just go around and around. Every now and then stop, back up, clean the blade, go around and around. And your goal is to push through as much as absolutely possible. You might be thinking, well, can't I just use a hand blender or a blender for this? You really don't want to, because you want to have that nice texture that you're going to see. You don't want it to be liquidy like a thick tomato juice. I got through as much as I can there. And then what we're left with here is a very nice sauce that has particles and texture to it. Little pieces of the fine mirepoix all distributed through it. Looks beautiful. Let's give it a little taste. Very nice. I don't think it needs any seasoning whatsoever. I'm personally not a fan of the brown sugar. I'm not going to put it in there. You can really taste that toasted garlic. That's so important to do before adding in your tomato product, just to put a little bit of color on that. So there we have our very basic tomato sauce. We can turn it into different sauces.